Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with great recent recordings of the classics. And as I promised, we're going to be talking quite a bit about chamber music in this series because there's so many wonderful chamber music ensembles out there. People who you probably haven't heard of, or you they may not be the most famous names in the universe, but they are superb musicians and they're making great recordings. And this is a case in point. The Brahms Sextets, which are just, oh my God, beyond gorgeous, played by the WDR chamber players, who are presumably members of the WDR Symphony Orchestra in Cologne. They are wonderful, wonderful young musicians primarily. Oh no, they have some sort of white hair. Some of them are young. Here, look, see for yourself. They're not dead anyway, and they are doing the two Brahms sextets, which make a fabulous coupling on CD, by the way. And they're two extraordinary masterpieces because before Brahms wrote these sextets, there weren't that many sextets other than Boccherini, who was a major sextet person as well. He kind of invented the medium. But Haydn and Mozart didn't deal in sextets, and Beethoven didn't deal in sextets. And so Brahms had the field to himself. And like so many composers after Haydn, and this is like a big deal, like so many composers after Haydn and Beethoven, of course, the string quartet made Brahms nervous. Supposedly he wrote like 15 of them that he destroyed or something like that before he allowed his 3 existing quartets to survive. And even Mozart and some other people had agita when it came to writing string quartets because Haydn's mastery of the medium was just so comprehensive. And so, and then Beethoven wrote his late masterpieces and everybody just freaked out. So string quartets in the Romantic period were, composers felt a need to write them, but they were diffident about it and often didn't do their best work when it came to string quartets. And like I said, Brahms is a case in point. But on the other hand, if you had a couple extra strings or you were dealing with some sort of formation that hadn't been exploited to death, well, then the composers felt free to just sort of like let their hair down and relax and compose fabulous works. And the two Brahms sextets are just two of the most beautiful pieces of chamber music you have ever heard in your life. And he is so much more free and colorful and relaxed in a good sense, not relaxed like slower, relaxed like I'm just going to let it all flow and hang out. And, oh my God, particularly in the second one, the G major, which is his Opus 36. I mean, they're both incredibly beautiful, and they're quite different, which is really nice. I mean, the B flat has the scherzo third, the G major has the scherzo second. The Brahms tended to do things in pairs, and the pairs are always they balance. They're always almost mirror images of each other. He wrote the first and second symphonies together. He wrote the tragic and academic festival overtures sort of are a pair, and the 2 piano concertos are a pair. And that was Brahms's thing. And so I know there are 2 cello sonatas, 2 of these, 2 of those. And he makes these things very contrasted, very highly contrasted. But the wonderful thing about the sextets is the gorgeous, almost orchestral richness of the textures, along with the bountiful fund of melody, extraordinary melody. And I did an extensive series of talks on the G major sextet. If you haven't seen them, and you're interested in getting into chamber music or music more generally, classical music, I have a whole playlist called How to Listen to Great Music. And in that playlist, we talk about some popular works like the Grieg Peer Gynt Suite and also movement by movement, this sextet, where you get to hear the whole thing and it's analyzed and discussed in detail. And it really is just an extraordinary piece. Oh, the tunes. Oh, the tunes. My God, one after another. In the first movement of the G major, da da, ya da 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 da. Oh my gosh, it's just to die for. And the finale, do 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 do, Da 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 da. Oh, wowie, baby. Anyway, this performance is wonderful. These performances, actually, both quartets. I mean, the ensemble is beautifully balanced. Their intonation is impeccable. The solos for the principal cello and violin, who get a lot of the stuff to do, and viola too, are always well turned, and the tempos are just right. And, oh gosh, you got to hear this. It's on PentaTone, and it was recorded in 2017 and 2018. So these are rather recent, and they are wonderful performances that assure us that chamber music is alive and well in the new millennium, and you can get recent recordings of tried and true classics and be confident that they're as good as anything out there, and they really, really are. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.